The chaos begins the very second Claudia Reeves, 42, white, perfectly ironed blonde hair, sharp jawline, ice blue eyes, and a smile that can slice skin, spots the two girls standing near the lavatory. She doesn't walk toward them. She pounces, venom dripping before she even reaches them. "Well, look at this!" she sneers loudly, voice echoing over the engine hum. "Two little aisle-blocking hood rats thinking this is their personal playground. Move! I don't want troublemakers lingering here like you're casing the damn plane." Passengers snap their heads up. Standing there are the Carter twins, Naomi and Nia, both 16, black, with soft brown skin, braided hair, matching hoodies, and backpacks still strapped because they're too polite to take up space. Naomi's face is pale, clearly sick from turbulence. Nia stands close, holding her sister's arm. Nia speaks gently. "Ma'am, she's just feeling—" "Oh, shut it!" Claudia barks, flinging her hand like swatting a bug. "You two always have some excuse. I've seen your type on every flight, wandering around, touching things, acting suspicious." A passenger in row 31 frowns. Naomi lifts a shaky hand. I just need to use the bathroom." Claudia's laugh is poisonous. "Oh, of course you do. Because apparently the rules don't apply to you. You don't just hover around the lavatory like you're about to break in. You wait like everyone else. But no, you two stand here acting like you're VIP. Let me guess. New TikTok challenge?" Nia's eyes widen. "We're not—" Claudia steps in closer, her perfume thick and suffocating. "You know what your problem is?" she hisses. "You walk around with those wide eyes pretending to be harmless, but you're nothing but liabilities waiting to cause trouble. People like you love drama. You feed on it." Nia blinks back tears. "Ma'am, we didn't do anything." Claudia raises her voice deliberately. "Didn't do anything? You're blocking the aisle, lingering near restricted areas, making passengers uncomfortable. Disgusting behavior. I'm already filing a report." One of the older women in row 30 mutters, "They weren't doing anything wrong." Claudia snaps her head around. "Ma'am, unless you're certified crew, stay out of official safety matters." She turns back to the girls with a cold smile. "See? Even when you pretend to be innocent, you create chaos." Naomi trembles. "I feel sick." "Oh, please," Claudia scoffs. "Next time, stay in your seat. Or better yet, don't buy a ticket if you can't act like normal passengers." The words land like slaps. Nia steps forward. "Please don't talk to us like that." Claudia leans in, voice dropping into a hateful whisper. "I'll talk to you however I want. You think you matter? You think anyone in this cabin will defend you?" She snorts. "Honey, half of them probably agree with me." Several passengers exchange shocked glances. Claudia straightens, raising her voice again for maximum embarrassment. "You two are done. I'm putting you in the lavatory until landing. If you resist, I'll call federal authorities. Yes, federal. And they love dealing with little troublemakers like you." She yanks the lavatory door open so violently it slams against the wall. Nia gasps. "We didn't even—" "Inside! Now!" Claudia's voice explodes like a whip. Passengers whisper. Someone records. Naomi clutches her stomach. Nia wraps an arm around her and tries to help her step forward, but the motion only angers Claudia more. "Oh, look at that! Already causing more delays. You two are unbelievable." She shoves the doorframe with her palm as if her push alone will force them in. Nia's voice cracks. "Please stop! My sister is—" Claudia erupts. "I said inside. Don't make me call the captain and have you detained the second we land. They will drag you out in cuffs, because that is exactly the direction you two are going." Naomi cries silently. The cabin stiffens. No one dares move. Then, faintly, Naomi whispers, to Nia, not to Claudia, "Can we please just get through this?" Nia nods, swallowing grief. They step inside the tiny, suffocating lavatory. Claudia slams the door behind them with triumphant force. From inside, the twins cling to each other in the dark, cramped space. The walls hum. The latch vibrates. The humiliation burns. And softly, almost too softly, Nia whispers a fragment her grandmother taught her. "When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I." Psalm 61:2. Naomi presses her forehead to Nia's shoulder. "I want Dad," Nia whispers. "He'll find us. God sees us." Outside, Claudia strides back down the aisle, tossing venom over her shoulder. "That's where they belong. Out of the way. Maybe now the cabin can breathe." The entire plane sits frozen in disgust. If you have ever been judged, humiliated, or mistreated for simply existing, then what happens next with Naomi and Nia will make your blood boil. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices to follow the rest of this story. But Claudia wasn't finished, and the next order she gave pushed the entire cabin to the edge of fury. The moment the lavatory door slams shut, the sound echoes across the cabin like a verdict. Inside the cramped box, barely the size of a closet, Naomi and Nia stand pressed against each other, breathing the stale chemical air, the light flickering as turbulence bumps the aircraft. Outside, Claudia Reeves stands guard like a prison warden, arms crossed, jaw clenched, her voice sharp enough to cut aluminum. "Unbelievable," she mutters loudly enough for half the cabin to hear. Two teenage delinquents thinking they run the place, acting sick as an excuse to wander around like thieves. Trash behavior. A man in row 32 shakes his head. "They weren't doing anything wrong." Claudia spins. "Oh, you must be an expert in airline security? No? Then stay in your seat and let me deal with the problems." Another woman raises her hand timidly. She looked genuinely sick. Claudia fires back with vicious sarcasm. "Oh yes, of course. They always look sick right before they start trouble. I've been doing this for 20 years. I know when someone's pretending. I know when someone's manipulating." Manipulating. That word stabs Nia from behind the door like a knife. Inside the lavatory, Naomi leans on the tiny sink, shaking. "I can't breathe. The air is so strong." Nia holds her up, whispering, "Just try to inhale slowly, okay? You're going to be okay." But the intercom crackles, and Claudia's voice blasts through the door. "I swear, if I hear one sound from in there, we'll escalate this. You two better stay quiet and still." Nia jumps. Naomi sobs silently. Claudia steps toward the galley, pulling out a clipboard and pen. Her voice rises deliberately, carrying through the cabin. "Incident report. Passengers displayed aggressive behavior, refused repeated instructions, attempted to loiter near restricted area, potential tampering with lavatory door." A passenger mutters, shocked. "She's lying." Claudia whips around. "Sir, lying is a federal offense. Are you accusing me of one? Because I can have you removed as well." Row 31 goes silent. Claudia continues dictating her report like a prosecutor narrating a crime scene. She leans closer to the door. "Yeah, tampering. That'll get the authorities' attention." Inside the lavatory, Nia gasps. "Naomi, she's saying we tampered with the door." Naomi wipes her cheeks. "It doesn't matter. No one will believe us." Nia feels fire under her skin. "Dad would." Naomi's voice is hollow. But he isn't here. Nia hugs her tighter. He will be. Claudia turns sharply to a younger flight attendant, Ashley, who's been watching uneasily. Ashley whispers, "Claudia, they're just kids." Claudia scoffs. "And kids can still be disruptive. You don't understand policy. You're still new. When you've dealt with enough of their kind," Ashley's eyes widen. "Their kind?" Claudia rolls her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. I mean the ones who think rules don't apply to them. They need discipline. I'm the only one on this crew with the spine to do it. But locking them in the lavatory, it's not locked. They're free to come out and face the consequences." The smirk on her face is pure poison. Another bout of turbulence hits. The lavatory light flickers again. Naomi grips the sink, breath quickening. "I'm gonna fall." Nia braces herself, spreading her feet on the tiny floor. "I'm right here." She knocks gently on the door. Ma'am? She's getting worse. Please let us out. Claudia answers instantly, dripping mock concern. Oh wow, getting worse? Cry me a river. If she's so sick, maybe she should have stayed home instead of playing games on a flight full of civilized people. Nia feels rage burn her throat. We didn't do anything. Claudia slams her palm against the door. Don't raise your voice at me. I am done with you two. When we land, you'll be met by airport police. And don't think for a second that crying will save you. They love when passengers act out. Makes arrests so easy. A toddler starts crying in the cabin. Claudia snarls, Great. Now you two are stressing other passengers. You're a public nuisance and a safety issue. Passengers are now whispering openly. She's abusing them. That's too far. This isn't right. Claudia snaps her head around, venom lacing every syllable. If anyone here wants to take their place, be my guest. I'm sure the authorities won't mind processing extra troublemakers. Nobody speaks. Claudia smirks. Control restored. Inside the lavatory, Naomi sinks to her knees. Nia kneels with her, steadying her shoulders. It's okay, she whispers. It's not okay, Naomi chokes. I can't believe she did this. I can't believe everyone's watching. Nia strokes her hair. You're not alone. Naomi stares at the metal floor. I want Dad. Nia closes her eyes. He's coming. He always comes. They sit in the dark, trembling, holding each other as the plane continues toward descent, toward fate. Claudia steps forward, lifting the intercom handset. Captain, I need to report an incident involving 2 passengers. I recommend airport police be ready at the gate. Her eyes glitter as she speaks into the mic. Potential federal violations. Passengers gasp. Someone whispers, Oh my God. Claudia hangs up the phone, satisfied. The trap has been set. The plane feels different now, heavier, tighter, like the air itself is holding its breath. Claudia Reeves stands in the galley with her clipboard, pen scratching across paper like a knife carving lies into stone. Her blonde hair is flawless, her uniform crisp, her expression calm in that terrifying way abusers look calm when they think they've won. Passenger profile, she mutters loudly, making sure nearby rows can hear. 2 uncooperative minors. Raised voices. Suspicious movement near lavatory. Possible attempt to interfere with door mechanism. Row 31 and 32 go stiff. A middle-aged black woman in 31C whispers, That's not what happened. The man beside her, 31D, leans closer. I recorded everything. She's twisting it. Across the aisle, a businessman in 32A adjusts his glasses, watching Claudia carefully, phone still in his hand from when he hit record earlier. Near the back, a young mom bounces a toddler on her lap, eyes wet. Those poor girls, she murmurs to her husband. Can you imagine if that was our daughter? She's lying, he replies under his breath. Flat out lying. But none of them have yet put it together. How big this lie will become. Who is waiting for those twins at the gate? Claudia flicks her eyes up from the report and sweeps them over the cabin like a searchlight. Let me make one thing clear, she announces in a firm, practiced voice. We have procedures on this aircraft. Those girls refused to follow instructions and created a safety risk. I am obligated to document that, and I am obligated to notify the authorities. Her gaze fixes on the woman in 31C, who dared whisper. Is there a problem, ma'am? She asks, voice loaded with threat. 31C straightens. I didn't see them do anything wrong. Claudia smiles with that fake customer service smile that never reaches her cold eyes. Of course you didn't. You're a passenger. You don't see what we see. Their body language, their attitude, the way they moved around back here. She lowers her voice, but not enough. Some people don't know how to behave in public. They come on board and think they can turn a commercial flight into their own little circus. The woman in 31C swallows. They looked scared. Claudia's smile disappears. Or guilty. she snaps. The businessman in 32A finally speaks. They looked like two kids trying to help a sick sister. Claudia swivels toward him. Sir, safety concerns are not up for debate. I am authorized to manage disruptive passengers. She leans in just a bit. And you pulling out your phone doesn't make you the judge of this cabin. He holds her gaze. Maybe not, but it does make me a witness. For the first time, a flicker of irritation crosses Claudia's eyes. Then I suggest you stay in your seat and witness quietly, she says through clenched teeth. Unless you'd like to be part of the report. Inside the lavatory, Naomi and Nia are still crammed into the tiny space, bodies aching from the turbulence and the humiliation. The light flickers again, buzzing overhead. Naomi presses her back against the door, eyes red, hoodie damp with tears and sweat. Do you hear her? She whispers. She's really writing us up. Nia can hear every word, muffled, but clear enough. Disruptive. Suspicious. Interfering. She feels each lie land like a weight on their future. Nia closes her eyes for a moment, fighting the rising panic, and hears a quiet echo from childhood, from church mornings and her father's voice. For the Lord loves justice and does not forsake his saints. Psalm 37:28. She repeats it silently, then aloud, barely above a whisper. Naomi, God loves justice. He doesn't leave us. Naomi lets out a shaky breath. Feels like he left us at 35,000 feet. He didn't, Nia says, even though a part of her is trembling. He's seeing everything. And Dad, if he finds out... Her throat tightens. He won't let this slide. Naomi's eyes soften with the tiniest flicker of hope. I just want to get off this plane. Me too, Nia murmurs. But we're getting off with the truth, not her lies. In the aisle, Claudia continues her performance. She flips to a new page. Additional note. Passengers refused to comply when instructed to move away from lavatory, became verbally hostile, created disturbance in rear cabin. Ashley, the younger flight attendant, watches from the jump seat, face pale. That's not accurate, she says quietly. They didn't yell. They just tried to explain. Claudia whirls around. Ashley, do you want to lose your job? Because siding with problem passengers instead of your crew is a fast track. Ashley hesitates, glancing at passengers who are clearly listening. I just think we should be honest. The cameras... Claudia cuts her off sharply. The cameras show what I see as lead, and what I see is two girls who refused to follow clear instructions and made a scene. You think anyone is going to take their word over mine? She lifts her chin, icy confidence returning. They're exactly the type who scream discrimination whenever they don't get their way. I'm not playing that game. Not on my aircraft. A wave of disgust passes over several faces in nearby rows. The businessman in 32A nearly stands. That's enough, he says. You're talking about them like they're animals. Claudia's eyes flare. Sit down, sir. You are dangerously close to interfering with crew during an active incident. That's a serious federal offense. He sinks back, jaw tight, but his phone stays in his hand, recording. Farther up, a teenage boy texts furiously. Dude, this flight attendant is crazy. She locked two black girls in the bathroom and is calling the cops on them. Everyone is watching. He glances at the no service icon, sighing. The message will send when they land. But by then, the real storm will already have begun. Claudia finishes her report, signing her name with a flourish. There, she says. When we land, airport police will have everything they need. I'll brief the captain. As she turns to walk toward the front, she throws one last poisonous glance at the lavatory door. Let them sit in there and think about what happens when they try to play games with me. Ashley whispers, They're just kids. Claudia replies without looking back, voice cold as ice. They're a problem, and problems get handled. The cabin is no longer quiet, just tightly compressed whispers, outrage folded into fear. Someone has to do something. She's weaponizing her job. Those girls must be terrified in there. The woman in 31C clasps her hands, eyes closed. Lord, protect those babies, she murmurs. Please let there be justice when we land. At the very front, Claudia knocks on the cockpit door, gives a sanitized version of events, and requests law enforcement at the gate. The captain, busy managing instruments and descent instructions, trusts her. We'll have them meet us, he replies. Claudia smiles. Everything is in motion now. The trap is locked. She has no idea that the very agency she's trying to weaponize is led, in part, by a man whose last name matches the girl's boarding passes. Carter. Back in the rear cabin, seatbelts click as the prepare for landing chime rings. The lavatory door remains closed. Naomi and Nia hold each other through every bump, unaware that the next time someone opens that door, uniformed officers will be waiting. The plane dips lower through the clouds. The whispers grow heavier. Somewhere between the sky and the runway, the entire fate of this flight changes direction. If you've ever watched someone twist the truth while everyone else stayed silent, then what happens when this plane touches down will shock you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices to see justice begin to turn. Because when the wheels finally hit the runway, it isn't just police waiting at the gate. It's a father who knows exactly how to dismantle a lie. The seatbelt sign dings on with a sharp chime that cuts through the whispers in the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our initial descent. The captain's calm voice rolls overhead, but in the back of the plane, nothing feels calm. The lavatory door is still closed. Inside, Naomi grips the tiny sink, knuckles white, stomach churning. The drops of sweat on her forehead look like fever. Nia stands crowded in beside her, one hand braced on the wall, the other on her sister's back, feeling every tremor. The plane tilts downward. The floor seems to slide under their feet. Hold on, Nia whispers. Just a little longer. Naomi's breathing turns shallow. I feel like I'm going to pass out. Nia can hear Claudia's voice outside, chatting with another attendant like nothing is wrong, laughing, complaining about passengers, as if the twins aren't trapped in a box the size of a coffin. Another bump of turbulence. The light flickers. Naomi squeezes her eyes shut. I don't want to come out, she whispers. They're all going to stare at us. They already stared, Nia says softly. But they also saw what she did. Not everyone believes her. Naomi doesn't answer. She just presses her palms to her face, trying to block out the world. Outside, Claudia Reeves moves down the aisle with practiced authority, checking seatbelts, touching overhead bins. Make sure everything's secured, she tells Ashley. The last thing we need is loose bags flying around when the authorities come aboard. Ashley flinches at the word. Authorities? Claudia nods, smirking. Airport police. We'll be waiting at the gate. Maybe somebody in cuffs will make this flight feel worth the trouble. A passenger in 32A, still holding his phone, says under his breath, You're enjoying this way too much. Claudia hears, but she doesn't care. Oh, I'm not enjoying it, she says, turning just enough so nearby Rose can hear. I'm enforcing safety. You all want to land in one piece, don't you? That means I deal with the people who think they're above the rules. The ones who act like this plane is some cheap bus they can run wild on. Her eyes slide back toward the lavatory as she speaks, and everyone understands exactly who she means. The woman in 31C mutters, That's not what happened. But she keeps her eyes down, fingers twisting her seatbelt. The descent deepens. Engines hum louder. The pressure changes. Claudia finally strides back to the lavatory, bangs on the door with her knuckles. You too, listen up, she barks. We're landing. You're going back to your seats. You will not say a word. You will not make a scene. And you will keep your mouths shut when the officers come. Do you understand? Nia freezes, staring at the door like it's about to open into a firing squad. Naomi whispers, "Officers!" Nia swallows hard. "She really called them." Claudia bangs again. "Answer me. Do you understand?" Nia forces sound out of her dry throat. "Yes, ma'am." "I didn't hear both of you," Claudia snaps. Naomi's voice cracks. "Yes, ma'am." The latch clicks as Claudia yanks it open. The light from the cabin spills in, harsher than before. Naomi and Nia stand there, crumpled and small, eyes swollen from crying. The smell of disinfectant and fear pours out behind them. Claudia looks them up and down like they're stains on her carpet. "Move," she says, "and don't even think about putting on a performance. You've caused enough drama for one flight." Nia slides an arm around Naomi's waist, guiding her out. Naomi's legs tremble. Her hoodie hangs crooked from where she'd been leaning on the walls. The whole back of the plane falls silent as the girls step into the aisle. Dozens of eyes follow them, some filled with pity, some with anger. At Claudia, not them, some with that nervous look people get when they know something's wrong but are afraid to say it out loud. As the twins slowly walk back to their seats in row 35, the young mom from earlier reaches into the aisle with a small pack of tissues. "Sweetheart," she whispers, offering them. "Here." Nia takes the pack with shaky hands. "Thank you," she breathes. The woman's eyes shine. "You didn't do anything wrong." Claudia stalks down behind them like a shadow. "Oh, she did plenty wrong," Claudia says. "You just didn't see it, but the authorities will." Naomi flinches. The businessman in 32A speaks up again. "Actually, I did see, and I recorded it." Claudia snaps her attention to him. "And you'll hand that recording right over to the captain if you know what's good for you. But until then, keep your opinions to yourself. You're not in charge here." He stares her down. "Maybe not. But I promise you, you're not the only one who will be talking when we land." Claudia's jaw tightens. The girls reach their row. Naomi practically collapses into the window seat, hands trembling as she fumbles for her seatbelt. Nia buckles herself in, then leans over, clicking Naomi's belt into place when her sister's fingers won't cooperate. The plane shudders as the landing gear deploys. Naomi's eyes fill again. "What if they arrest us?" "They can't," Nia whispers. "We didn't do anything. She lied. People saw it." Naomi stares at the seat in front of her like it's a wall she can't climb. "They never believe us. They always believe her kind." Nia grips her hand, squeezing tight. "Not this time," she says, even though her own voice trembles. "Dad's never going to let this stand. If he was here, she wouldn't dare." Naomi swallows. "He doesn't even know." "We'll tell him," Nia says. "Every word." And then she exhales slowly. She's going to regret this. The engines roar louder as the runway rises up to meet them. Hundreds of miles below, at the destination airport, Marcus Carter stands by a wide glass window, watching an earlier arrival taxi to the gate. Tall, black, late 40s, close-cropped hair flecked with gray, wearing a simple gray suit and polished shoes, he blends in with the business travelers, except for the quiet authority in his posture. He checks his watch, then the arrival board. Flight number. On time. His daughters are minutes away. He smiles to himself, imagining their faces when they see him waiting at the gate with open arms. He's just wrapped a series of federal meetings on aviation safety and civil rights. A heavy week of listening to stories of discrimination at airports and onboard flights. "We're working on it," he'd told a room full of advocates. "We're tightening policies. We're increasing oversight. We're going to make flying fairer." Now all he wants is to hug his girls, hear about school, and surprise them with a weekend together. He has no idea the latest case he'll be assigned has already begun. 30,000 feet above his head. Back in the sky, the plane breaks through the clouds. The runway comes into view. The cabin tenses. Seat backs upright, tray tables stowed, hearts pounding. Claudia walks the aisle one last time, eyes landing on the twins. "Here's what's going to happen," she murmurs, lowering her voice so the nearby rows can still hear. "The officers will board. I'll give them my report. If you say one thing out of line, you'll make it worse for yourselves. Cry, argue, play victim. I promise you it won't end well." Naomi stares out the window, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Nia looks straight ahead, jaw clenched, fingers laced so tight her knuckles whiten. Claudia leans in closer, her whisper like poison in their ears. "You should have stayed in your seats," she hisses. "You don't belong anywhere near the front or the galley or near crew. You're the kind of passengers that ruin flights for everyone else. Remember that when you're explaining yourselves at the station." She straightens, pasting on her professional smile for landing. Outside, the ground rushes up. The wheels hit the runway with a thunderous thud. Brake roar fills the cabin. The plane slows, engines whining down as it taxis toward the gate. Naomi closes her eyes, breathing like she's walking to an execution. Nia squeezes her hand and whispers, "We'll get through this, somehow." Up front, Claudia reaches for the interphone and calls the captain. "We're ready for law enforcement," she says. "Tell them our two little troublemakers are seated in row 35. She hangs up, satisfied. What she doesn't know is this: law enforcement is not the only power waiting at the gate. The aircraft rolls to a stop. The familiar ding echoes overhead, but no one moves. Not a breath, not a shuffle. The cabin feels like a courtroom waiting for a verdict. Passengers glance nervously toward row 35, where Naomi and Nia Carter sit stiff and silent, hands clasped so tightly their knuckles ache. Naomi's hoodie sleeve is damp from wiping her face. Nia's chin trembles each time she swallows, but she refuses to cry in front of Claudia. Behind them, Claudia stands tall, smoothing the front of her uniform, the picture of smug authority. "This is what accountability looks like," she murmurs, just loud enough for the twins to hear. "I hope you learned something today." Her smile is venom. Her pride is poison. The cabin door opens with a metallic hiss, and in steps airport police, two officers in Navy uniforms, clean-shaven, serious faces, utility belts, radios crackling, the kind of sight that makes the entire cabin tense like a pulled wire. Passengers go silent. No coughing, no rustling bags, just pounding hearts. Claudia strides forward, as if she's been waiting to receive a medal. "Officers, thank you. We have two disruptive minors in the back. They attempted to interfere with a lavatory door, caused a disturbance, and repeatedly disobeyed crew instructions." She delivers the accusations like bullets, rapid, polished, practiced. The lead officer nods professionally, but his eyes drift sideways toward the rows of tense passengers behind her. Something feels off. Claudia continues, "I've already filed a written report. They escalated the situation. They were verbally aggressive. At one point, I feared for crew safety." Gasps ripple through the cabin. The businessman in 32A whispers, "That's a lie. Every word." The woman in 31C nods, whispering, "She's trying to ruin those girls." Still, Claudia plows forward, gesturing dramatically down the aisle. "They're in row 35. I recommend we remove them immediately for questioning." The officers exchange glances, just a subtle flicker, but enough for the front rows to sense that even they feel the tension here. Back in row 35, Naomi's chest tightens, her breathing grows sharp, shallow. "Nia? They're here!" Nia grips her hand hard. "We didn't do anything wrong. Say it! Say it!" Naomi nods, lip quivering. "We didn't do anything wrong." But her eyes keep darting to the aisle, to the uniforms moving closer with each step. Passengers twist in their seats to watch. Some lift phones. Others whisper prayers. The young mom from before places a gentle hand on Nia's shoulder as officers approach. "Be brave, sweetheart," she whispers. "We saw what really happened." Nia manages a watery smile. "Thank you." Claudia suddenly appears beside the officers like a puppeteer guiding marionettes. "These two," she says sharply, pointing at the twins like pointing out culprits in a lineup. They were the problem. The officers stop directly in front of Naomi and Nia. Naomi can't breathe. Nia straightens despite shaking knees. We didn't do anything wrong, sir. Claudia laughs under her breath. Oh, please, spare me. One of the officers raises a calm hand. Ma'am, we'll handle this. But Claudia keeps going, unstoppable now. They were disorderly. They refused instructions. They tried to slam the lavatory door. Ma'am, the officer repeats, firmer. Claudia snaps her mouth shut, annoyed that someone dared interrupt her performance. The lead officer kneels slightly to meet the twins' eyes. Are you hurt? He asks softly. Naomi barely whispers. I was sick. That's why I stood by the bathroom. And she shoved us inside, Nia says, voice cracking but clear. She yelled at us. She lied. Claudia scoffs. Unbelievable. Playing victim now? A wave of disgust rolls through the nearby rows. The officer stands. Ma'am, he says to Claudia, we'll talk to passengers as well. We need the full picture. Claudia's eyes widen with irritation. Well, I am the crew. You don't need anyone else's picture. That sentence hangs in the air like a rotten smell. The businessman in 32A raises his phone. You want another picture? Here's one. Entire minutes of you harassing them, loud and clear. 31C speaks up. She's been lying from the start. We all heard it. More voices join. She mistreated them. She screamed at them. She locked them inside for no reason. Phones go up across the cabin. Claudia's face begins to crack. Her practiced smile falters. Her eyes flicker with something unfamiliar, fear. But she still clings to her power. None of that is official, she snaps. I will not have my authority questioned. Officers, remove them. A firm voice suddenly interrupts from the jet bridge. You will remove no one. Everyone turns, standing there, tall, composed, with a badge clipped inside his jacket, is Marcus Carter. Dressed in a gray suit, eyes sharp, presence unmistakably authoritative. Naomi gasps. D-Dad? Nia's breath catches. Daddy! Marcus steps fully into the aircraft aisle. The officers straighten instinctively. Their posture shifts the moment they see his credentials. Claudia freezes mid-step, confusion rippling across her face. Marcus's voice is low, controlled, and lethal without raising a single octave. You, he says to Claudia, you filed a report accusing my daughters of federal violations? Claudia blinks, stunned. I wasn't aware they were your... You weren't aware of a lot of things, Marcus cuts in. But I am. He turns to the officers. Senior Federal Aviation, Safety and Civil Rights Investigator. Case authorization number available upon request. Both officers nod quickly. Yes, sir. Passengers exhale in relief. Claudia pales. Marcus steps closer to her, not threatening but unshakably firm. I'm requesting, he says, all passenger statements, phone footage, cabin camera logs, and your written report. Immediately. Claudia stammers. This is a misunderstanding. Marcus raises one hand. No. This is misconduct. And it ends tonight. The cabin erupts in applause. Not loud cheering, just grateful, exhausted clapping from dozens of witnesses who had held their breath for too long. Naomi breaks into sobs. Nia reaches for her father's hand. The balance of power has shifted, and Claudia Reeves feels it sinking around her like quicksand. The plane's cabin is no longer an aircraft. It's a courtroom, a stage, a reckoning. And Marcus Carter stands at the center of it, calm as a man who knows exactly how the truth behaves under pressure. Inevitable, unstoppable, sharp. Claudia Reeves stands frozen, hand still gripping her clipboard like a shield that suddenly feels paper thin. Her lips part, but no words come. Her arrogance has drained from her face, replaced with the dawning realization that she is not the most powerful person in this cabin. Marcus turns first, not to her, but to his daughters. He kneels so he is eye level with Naomi and Nia, his voice soft enough to calm the storm inside them. Are you hurt? He asks. Naomi shakes her head through tears. Nia whispers, She locked us in the bathroom, Daddy. Marcus's jaw tightens, not with rage, but with that terrifying stillness of a man who has heard stories like this too many times in his line of work. "I'm here now," he says gently, "and this ends tonight." He stands. The entire cabin watches. Marcus faces the police officers, offering his badge wallet again, not as a threat, but as a formality. "Thank you for responding," he says calmly. "I'll take it from here." The lead officer nods, relieved. "Yes, sir. Whatever you need." Claudia's eyebrows shoot up. "Whatever he needs? That's not protocol." Marcus's voice slices through her protest. "Protocol is exactly what we are going to follow, Ms. Reeves, not your version of it. The real one." Claudia swallows. Passengers shift in their seats, murmuring approval. Marcus continues, addressing the officers. "Before we proceed, I need to secure all available evidence." He turns to the passengers. "Anyone who witnessed the interaction or recorded footage, please remain seated until statements can be properly collected." Nearly a dozen phones rise instantly. People nod fiercely. Some even applaud. Claudia flinches. Marcus turns fully toward Claudia, his expression no longer gentle. It is professional, precise, lethally calm. "Ms. Reeves, you filed a written report claiming my daughters were disruptive, verbally aggressive, refused crew instructions, and attempted to tamper with a lavatory door, correct?" Claudia forces a smile, thin, brittle. I simply followed safety protocol, sir. I did what any crew member would do when faced with certain behaviors." "Behaviors?" Marcus repeats. "Let's clarify them." He steps closer, not looming, not intimidating, just close enough that Claudia can feel how unshakable he is. "Did my daughters raise their voices at you?" Claudia opens her mouth, but passengers interrupt. "No, absolutely not. They didn't yell once." Marcus raises a hand. "That's enough. I'll take statements in a moment." He returns his gaze to Claudia. "Did they threaten you?" "No," she mutters. "Did they refuse a lawful instruction?" They weren't cooperating," she insists weakly. Marcus tilts his head. "Meaning?" "They were standing near the lavatory." "And that is disruptive how?" Claudia sputters. "Well, they were lingering." A teenager in row 33 blurts out, "She was sick. What were they supposed to do? Teleport into the bathroom?" Chuckles ripple through the cabin. Claudia grows red. Marcus stays composed. "Next question," he says. "Why were they placed inside the lavatory?" Claudia stiffens. "To restore order. They were causing a disturbance." A woman's voice in row 31 rises. "That's a lie. You caused the disturbance." Marcus gestures again for silence, his control over the cabin absolute. "And," he continues, "why did you state in your report that they attempted to tamper with the lavatory door?" Claudia clutches her clipboard. I heard noises. It sounded like tampering." Marcus leans in slightly. "You mean you heard turbulence and assumed it was two girls tampering?" Claudia hesitates. Marcus speaks again, softly but unambiguously. "Ms. Reeves, you filed a false federal report." Gasps spread through the cabin. Claudia's eyes widen in horror. I didn't." Marcus cuts her off with a calm so terrifying it silences every voice around them. "I'm going to tell you something my father told me when I was your daughter's age," he says, his voice deepening. "When you weaponize lies, the truth will become your judge." Claudia trembles. Marcus signals to 32A. "Sir, may I see your recording?" The businessman stands immediately. "Yes, of course." He hands over the phone. Marcus plays the video. The audio is unmistakable. Claudia yelling, mocking, insulting, shoving the girls toward the lavatory. Passengers in the surrounding rows lean forward, jaws tight, eyes burning with vindication. Marcus lowers the phone slowly. "Thank you," he says to him. Then to Claudia, "This recording contradicts nearly every statement in your report." Claudia is sweating now. I didn't mean... It was a misunderstanding. One of the officers steps forward. Ms. Reeves, this evidence is clear. Your account doesn't match what's been witnessed. Claudia shakes her head in a panic. No, this isn't how it works. I'm the crew. I'm the authority. Marcus's voice hits her like a verdict. You abused that authority. He turns to the younger attendant, Ashley. Did you witness the interaction? Ashley hesitates, then nods. Yes, sir. I did. Is the report accurate? Ashley's hands shake. No, it isn't. They didn't do half of what she wrote. They weren't disrespectful. They weren't loud. They were just... scared. Claudia spins toward her. You little traitor. Enough, Marcus snaps. Ashley steps behind him, trembling. You put 2 minors in a lavatory, Marcus says coldly, during turbulence. You threatened them with federal charges. You weaponized your uniform, and you lied, systematically. Claudia's voice breaks into a shrill whisper. You're destroying my career. No, Marcus replies. You destroyed it yourself. Marcus turns briefly to his daughters, placing a steady hand on their shoulders, and quietly, so only they can hear, he whispers, No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Naomi closes her eyes and sobs. Nia grips her father's hand with all her strength. The lead officer steps forward. Ms. Reeves, per protocol, we're removing you from duty pending investigation. Claudia stares at him, horrified. You can't remove me. I'm the senior attendant. Marcus replies, You were, not anymore. Passengers break into relieved applause. Claudia tries to speak, but the words die in her throat as the officers escort her off the plane, past every passenger who saw her cruelty, past the phones recording her downfall, past the twins she abused. As Claudia disappears into the jet bridge, Marcus kneels again in front of his daughters. You're safe now, he whispers. No more fear. Naomi collapses into his arms. Nia leans into him, shaking. Around them, passengers begin lining up, offering comfort. You did the right thing, sir. We're so glad you came. Your girls were brave. She needed to be stopped. Marcus nods gratefully, but stays focused on his daughters. He stands, guiding them gently toward the exit. Let's go home, he murmurs. We're not done, but justice has just begun. If you've ever waited for the moment truth finally speaks louder than lies, then what happens when Marcus takes this investigation further will leave you stunned. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices for the next chapter. Because Claudia's downfall in the cabin was only step 1. Step 2 begins in a private airport office where every second of evidence will decide her fate. The jet bridge feels strangely quiet, like the world is holding its breath. Marcus Carter walks with one arm around Naomi and the other around Nia, guiding them past the stunned airport staff who instinctively step aside. The officers follow closely, carrying Claudia's report and the passenger statements. Every step feels heavy but certain, like justice is finally walking on solid ground. Ahead, a uniformed airline manager rushes forward. Mr. Carter, we've prepared a private conference room. We were informed something serious occurred. Marcus nods. Yes, and we're going to review every second. The twins walk beside him, still shaken, still pale, but holding onto his coat sleeves like anchors. They step into a glass-walled operations office overlooking the runway. Computers hum. A long table sits in the middle. On the wall, a large monitor waits to display whatever evidence Marcus calls for. The manager clears his throat nervously. I'm so sorry, sir. We had no idea. Apologies come later, Marcus says calmly. Right now, we deal in facts. He gestures toward 2 chairs. Girls, sit here. You're safe? Naomi sinks into her seat, exhaustion washing over her. Nia sits beside her, clutching her father's hand. Marcus turns to the officers. Let's begin. The lead officer hands him Claudia's written statement. Marcus lays it flat on the table, like a piece of contaminated evidence. before opening a second binder of airline protocols. "Let's compare her report to actual regulations," he says. The manager's face tightens. This won't end well for Claudia. Passenger 32A steps into the room, phone in hand. "Sir? Yes? I emailed you the video." Marcus opens it on the monitor. The room falls silent as Claudia's voice erupts from the speakers, harsh, racist, dripping with contempt. "Trash behavior. Know your place. Don't play victim with me. I'll get you detained. People like you always cause problems." Naomi lowers her head, tears pooling. Nia grips the edge of the table until her fingers ache. The manager covers his mouth. "Oh my God." The younger attendant, Ashley, standing in the doorway, wipes her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she whispers. "I should have spoken up sooner." Marcus doesn't look away from the screen. "You are speaking now. That matters." He plays the next clip. Claudia shoving the lavatory door open. Claudia threatening federal charges. Claudia forcing the girls inside. Claudia mocking their fear. Ashley sniffles. She said they were tampering. That's not true. They didn't touch anything. The officer nods. "I can confirm. No damage, no interference. Nothing suggests wrongdoing." Marcus steps forward, pointing at the frozen frame of Claudia's face mid-scream. "This," he says, voice low, "is systemic abuse. This is misconduct, discrimination, and falsification of a federal report." The manager exhales shakily. "Mr. Carter, please know, she does not represent our values." Marcus turns, controlled, precise. "Your values are what you enforce," he replies, "and starting today, you enforce this." He taps Claudia's report. "This document is fraudulent." He taps the video. "This is the truth." He taps the girl's hands. "And these are the victims." The officer clears his throat. Based on passenger statements, video evidence, and contradictory reporting, Claudia Reeves is now officially under investigation and removed from duty. The manager adds, almost breathless, "She will not return to the cabin, ever. And we will compensate your daughters, issue a formal apology, and conduct a full internal review." He straightens. "We'd also like your guidance on revising our misconduct protocols, if you'd be willing." Marcus nods slowly. "I will. Not as their father, though I have every reason to roar as one." He looks at his daughters. "But as an official who has spent his career fighting for fairness in the sky." He squeezes Naomi's and Nia's shoulders. "This case will set a standard." Naomi wipes a tear. "Daddy, are we really safe?" Marcus kneels in front of his daughters, eyes burning with fierce love. "Safe," he whispers, "and seen." Nia leans into him, whispering, "Thank you for coming." He presses his forehead gently to hers. "I always come, always." The sun is setting outside the airport windows, turning the runway gold as Marcus Carter walks with his daughters toward the arrivals hall. The air feels lighter now, not because the ordeal is forgotten, but because truth has finally been unboxed, examined, and spoken aloud. Naomi holds her father's hand like she's afraid he might disappear. Nia walks close on the other side, her cheek resting briefly against his arm. They pause near a quiet corner of the terminal. Marcus kneels again so he can look them both in the eyes. "You were brave," he says softly. "You told the truth. You held on, even when it felt like nobody saw you, and that matters more than you know." Naomi sniffles. "We were so scared, Daddy." "I know," he whispers, "but you were never alone. Even before I walked onto that plane, God was watching every second. Nothing was hidden from him, not even the things spoken in the dark." Nia nods slowly, absorbing every word. Marcus stands and guides them toward a small gathering of airline staff waiting near the gate. The airport manager, 2 supervisors, and Ashley, the young attendant who had spoken up. Ashley steps forward, eyes still a bit red. "Girls, I'm so sorry," she says. "I should have intervened sooner. What Claudia did was wrong. and I'm going to give a full testimony." Naomi and Nia both manage small smiles. "It's okay," Naomi says softly. "Thank you for telling the truth." The manager clears his throat. "We want to make this right," he says. "A formal apology has already been issued to your father, but we want to say it to you directly. What happened today should never happen to any passenger, especially children." He gestures toward two thick folders. "These are internal policy updates we drafted based on Mr. Carter's recommendations. We're implementing mandatory bias training, oversight reviews for all incident reports, and a new protocol ensuring minors cannot be isolated or threatened without supervisor approval." Nia looks at her father, eyes wide. You changed their rules?" Marcus gives a small smile. "No, you changed them. Your courage forced them to see what needed to be corrected." The twins exchange a glance, something like pride blooming slowly inside the wounds. Hours later, the three sit at a quiet airport cafe, picking at food they're too drained to eat. But there's peace now, a gentleness in the air that wasn't there before. Naomi finally breaks the silence. "Daddy?" "Yes, baby?" "Do you think she'll change? Claudia?" Marcus exhales deeply. "I pray she will," he says, "because justice is not just about punishment. It's about transformation, when someone finally sees the harm they caused and chooses a different path." He looks at them, voice warm and steady. "And whether she does or doesn't, your dignity remains untouched. No one took it from you, not even for a moment." Naomi wipes a tear. Nia squeezes her hand. They sit like that for a long moment, the chaos of the day giving way to the quiet truth of who they are, valued, protected, deeply loved. As they walk out of the airport into the cool evening air, Marcus pulls them close under each arm. "You survived something cruel today," he tells them, "and you came out stronger, not because you fought back, but because you held on to who you are." The twins lean against him, exhausted but safe, and above them, planes lift into the sky, symbols of departure, arrival, and sometimes rebirth. Tomorrow the world will talk about the story that spread across smartphones in that cabin. They will talk about injustice, accountability, and the man who walked onto a plane at exactly the right moment. But tonight, only one truth matters. The sky is still wide enough for justice, and still high enough for dignity to rise. If the story moved you, if you've ever prayed for fairness, for protection, or for truth to finally stand up against cruelty, then stay with Dignity Voices. We tell the stories the world tries to forget. The stories where God lifts the lowly, exposes lies, and restores dignity to those who were harmed. Like, subscribe, and join us as we continue bringing justice, faith, and real-life courage to the screen. The story of Naomi and Nia reminds us of a truth woven throughout Scripture. God sees, God hears, God acts. He sees the tears shed behind closed doors. He hears the cries that never reach anyone's ears. He moves, even when the world stands silent. When Claudia abused her authority, she believed no one would question her. But God knows every lie spoken in the dark. He remembers every injustice, and in His timing, He brings truth into the light. As Psalm 103:6 says, "The Lord works righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed." Marcus didn't just walk onto that plane, he walked into a moment God had already prepared. His daughters weren't rescued by coincidence. They were rescued by providence. And that's the message for every viewer. When life corners you, when cruelty rises, when you feel trapped in a lavatory moment of humiliation or fear, God is already sending your help. He is your defender, your witness, your justice. Hold on, trust Him. Your dignity will rise again. Bottom of form.